Are you ready to rewind? Take a nostalgia-filled ride back to a simpler time. It's Acid Wash Memories, a retro pop culture celebration. And now your hosts, Joe Murata and Michael Quinn.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 99 of Acid Wash Memories, a retro pop culture celebration. This week, we are talking all about our favorite discontinued snack foods. My name is Joe Murata, alongside Michael Quinn. Hello there, Michael.
Discontinued, unfortunately.
Stale, that's right.
Lovely.
Gone.
But some of the best stuff that was like ever made, it's so frustrating. It's almost like they knew it was good and they're like, we're not going to make this anymore.
That's kind of what I want to tap into. Is like, why did they take this stuff away from us?
It's so annoying.
I know. But folks, thanks for tapping into Acid Wash Memories here. If this happens to be your first time, we are a retro pop culture celebration. Each week is something completely different in the world of pop culture. Sometimes movie related or video game related, TV show related. This time we're going back to food stuff.
Yes. Joe.
Yes, Michael.
Let me ask you something here. I think this is a topic close to your heart, as you're the resident requester of pizzerias every couple months, hoping like Keebler will notice or something.
Yeah, about that. We'll be talking about the pizzerias. There's also,
this to me is why I know you wanted to do this one.
It's
right?
partially pizzeria related. It's partially because I know there are so many people our age and younger and older that really miss some of these things.
Treat yourself to the rich and creamy cheesecake taste of Philadelphia snack bars. They're a little taste of heaven.
Like I said, it's one of life's like annoyances. Like when they just like get rid of something that's been made for like 30 years or something.
And it's really good.
Yeah, it's
people
like,
love it.
For what? Why?
I know.
It's Keebler Tato Skins for big potato
Folks, we
taste.
do want to remind you to please follow us on Twitter at AWM Podcast. You can also join our Facebook group, Acid Wash Memories. As far as the snacking is concerned, Quinn, what is snacking? We all know what snacking is, but
food that's not actual food.
Do you like snacking?
I do.
I'm a big fan of snacking.
I do. I've been telling people on the other podcast about this new snack mix at Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's, yes.
I did have the hot one recently.
Yeah.
Not so good.
No, so stick with the original.
Stick with the original
Alrighty.
recipe there. But snack food is definitely my jam. You know, Doritos, whatever. Like
you love a good chip.
Good and plenty. Licorice of some kind.
Good and plenty. We're really gonna go there.
Yeah, but that's candy. Does that count under this?
It could be a snack.
Okay.
I like a chip. I like a cracker. I like a Cheez-It. You know, I like a goldfish.
Who doesn't like that stuff, though? I mean, like this to me.
I want names.
I feel like this is more of an American thing. These packaged foods from these companies that you see the trucks on the highways and byways of America.
Hers chips and shit like that. I would imagine that. I mean, from what I know about other countries, they have them, obviously, but I don't know that any other country has the snack culture that we fat
That's
Americans
what I mean.
do.
It's like, I think it's like, I believe like these kind of snacks started here, right?
A lot of them did.
Like these like in a plastic bag, like some chips or something.
Some
like,
MSG and some chips, basically.
Just some crap.
Something with sour cream and onion.
Like probably the 20s because of mass production, industrialization, and blah, blah, blah.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you recall way back in the archives when we talked about the chips, we did the Mount Rushmore and Death Valley of chips with Alyssa. Yes, it was here in the United States, of course.
Right.
And then England's like, no, the crisps, mate. And it's like, shut up.
It's like, we started this. You don't get to call it a different name. I don't like that. The crisp. Get out of here.
Get the hell out of here.
Hello there, chaps. Oi, listen, mate. Just because we Brits aren't as obsessed with the monosodium glutamate like you tubby Americans doesn't mean that we can't enjoy a nice package of crisps while we watch the telly. You know what else is a nice snack, mates? Fish and cheese.
For the record, we love you guys on the other side of the pond. You know we're joking. So if you're new here and you're on the other side of the pond, first of all, sorry about the war in the Revolutionary one.
Right, that one.
We're sorry.
Like 300 years ago. Yeah.
And 1812, to be fair. Sorry about Margaret Thatcher, just in general.
Right.
Okay. But anyway. Let's get to the snack. But this is going to be a casual episode because, quite frankly, snacking is casual.
Right.
And I figure we want to tap into why some of these things are so beloved. Because if you look on the YouTubes, if you look on the internet about, like those dumbass sites like BuzzFeed and shit like that, but like anything like that where they aggregate stuff and it's like, here's 50 insanely awesome 90s foods we miss or whatever.
We like nostalgia.
Yeah.
We get clicks for it. Right?
Meanwhile, look at us over here.
Yeah.
But we're also winking at ourselves anytime we say that. Anywho, the point I'm trying to make is that a lot of millennials and people, a little younger, Gen Z, and a little older, Gen X, they really miss a lot of the things we're going to talk about.
Right.
And by no means, folks, is this a comprehensive list of every single discontinued snack food. So where you come into play, you listener, listening on your radios at home,
Yeah,
right?
radios.
Radios on your hi-fis.
The receivers.
Yes. Let us know. You do that again on Twitter at AWM Podcast and join our group and let us know there. Let us know what your favorites are. These are some that I know that I've had, and I'm pretty sure Quinn's had every single one that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
But I'm starting with, Quinn, not a snack, but it's in the realm. It's a drink. Ecto Cooler.
I would call this the snack of drinks. It's
a snack drink.
This shit was like a staple in my home.
Absolutely.
Like growing up, it was like
every lunch table in
I don't
America.
even know how it came to be a staple in my home. It was just something we always had.
High C Ecto Cooler. Slimer's new fruit drink. You've been warned.
And the thing was, too, is there was like other drinks like this, right? Like there was like Hawaiian Punch,
Sunny D,
like all that stuff. But for some reason, a lot of homes in the early 90s were just hooked on this fucking Ecto Cooler shit.
Yeah.
Right?
So those of you that might not know what it is or you need your memory refreshed, Ecto Cooler was a flavor of High C, which is a juice-related drink.
Right.
They do fruit punch. They do all different flavors. And High C was very popular in general. Like I loved High C in general as a kid. But there was something about Ecto Cooler. There's two things about it that I think appealed to kids of our generation, Quinn.
Right.
Slimer was on the cover.
Yeah, so they had the Slimer branding. So you might wonder, what the hell is an Ecto? It's like it's referring to the like Ecto 1 from Ghostbusters, right? It's like it was like a
ectoplasm.
It was like a cross branding of like it was to hype Ghostbusters is like why it first came to be, but ultimately it was just like an orange drink or something.
Well, it's green tinted. That was the other thing that appealed to people, but it's literally a citrus drink. So this came about in 1987 and to hype the real Ghostbusters cartoon.
Right, because it's definitely the cartoon Slimer on it. It's not the movie one.
It's not movie Slimer.
He's like fatter than movie one and like disgusting.
Don't make fun of him. But you're correct.
Yeah.
He does stink. It's a rebrand. So the drink itself had already existed. Citrus Cooler. All they did was change the name, make it green, and put Slimer on it. And look what it did.
It's one of these like unexplained phenomena of the like early 90s. This shit was fucking everywhere, man.
If
like,
you had this at your lunch table, you were the coolest kid.
But it wasn't even that. It was like you open the fridge at your house, your friend's house,
your uncle's house,
your uncle's house, your parent, like your grandparents' house. Everyone had this crap. Like it was just like, oh, the kids are coming. We got to have the Ecto Cooler, right?
Well, because the name is cool.
Yeah,
no pun intended. The color was cool. It also tasted good.
It was tasty. That's the thing. It was one of those drinks where I feel like it was a soda substitute for kids. Like it definitely had sugar, but I don't know. Like,
yes, Quinn.
I guarantee you, like they were like, oh, it's slightly more healthy because it contains 10% of fruit juice, as it says on the cover here.
What are the other 90% in there?
Yeah.
Now, it made it all through the 90s, despite people maybe having the memory that it didn't. It actually made it well past the cartoon.
Right.
It made it to the High C, like, when they rebranded to, like, the yellow packaging in the later 90s.
So, this was the thing about Ecto Cooler, and I thought for a while, I thought that it was just going to be, like, legacied in, because it was just so popular, right? Like, why would they ever get rid of this at this point? And the only assumption I could make that it would go away is they probably only had like a 10-year license with Ghostbusters or like 15 years or something. And secondly, it's just maybe just a time for a change. But either or, it's such a generic drink at the same time. Like you would think at the bare minimum, they would just not call it Ecto Cooler, but it's like, you know, this used to be Ecto Cooler or something. Yeah. But it's just like disappeared.
Well, what they did is they renamed it to Shoutin' Orange Tanger Green around 2001.
But nobody knew what that was.
Nobody knew that it was Ecto Cooler, right? And then they took the green color out a few years later, and they renamed it again Crazy Citrus Cooler. Now, I think it was it X Entertainment did a whole...
Like an expose.
Yeah, an expose on this, like, what, 20 years ago now
I remember
almost?
This. Now, was the recipe change or anything? Did they investigate that?
Eventually, only when they took the green out. Other than that,
that doesn't add or subtract anything.
It didn't change anything.
Coloring.
Now, there was a brief revival of Ecto Cooler in 2016 for the Ghostbusters reboot.
Right.
And I did not have it, though.
So you would hope, though, right, that this would renew the license. right? That they would like maybe get like 10 more years of it or something. But no, it just like disappeared again.
For 5 more years. They did a 2021 reissue for the Ghostbusters reboot sequel. But this, they did it as a pure like grift, a cash grab where it wasn't available retail. You had to like do it online. It was like a whole thing.
Why is this so difficult? Everyone liked it. It's like commonly agreed upon. Here's the thing. I remember personally that nobody thought of it, like it was around for so long that nobody thought of it even as like Ghostbusters related past a certain point. It was just like, oh, Ecto Cooler, that. Like it's
the
just
green
like
drink.
Yeah, the green drink, we like it.
It had nothing to do with Ghosts, but nobody cared.
Nobody cared past like the like Ghostbusters cartoon being over. Like nobody gave a shit.
Absolutely not.
Such a ridiculous like saga here.
But I really miss it. I really liked it. And folks, we want to hear your stories. Did you like Ecto Cooler? I loved Ecto Cooler.
Who didn't like Ecto Cooler?
Quinn, I am not sure if you have had these, but I know a lot of people love and miss them. PB Crisps by Planters.
Now, I remember these, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm trying to remember like what they look like.
They look
it's
like
the
peanuts.
cover looks like peanuts, right?
But it's like a cookie-ish peanut.
Yeah, it was like
peanut butter snack.
Sugary, right?
Yeah, it was a sweet peanut buttery nut.
This shit was actually really good.
Yeah.
This brings me back. I haven't seen these in frickin' forever. When did these go away?
Okay, so this is Planters, by the way. They debuted in 92.
They were around that early?
Yeah, but they disappeared around 95-ish. That was it.
Yeah, because that's what I feel like I even saw them was like 95.
Mid-90s, right? Yeah.
PB Crisps and new chocolate crisps from
People
Planters.
have been screaming for these things to come back. You think the pizzerias...
there's been no revival or anything? There hasn't been like a nostalgia grift or anything?
No, in fact, Planters, the brand, on Twitter, addressed this in 2007. I'm going to read you the exact quote.
Give us the skinny Planters.
We appreciate the love for PB Crisps. Unfortunately, there was not enough consumer demand for us to continue producing
I don't buy this when they say there's no demand thing, right? Because here's the thing, right? Sure, it's a loud like subset on the internet, right? But the minute you put the advertising campaign and it's like PB Crisps are back or whatever, that's where the demand's going to come from.
Right.
Not like some 7 people on the internet.
So not much on the forefront with PB Crisp, but we could still hope. We're still not backing down. We're still going to do our best to make sure we get our PB Crisp
But that's
back.
the thing is like if those people remember it and are passionate enough, you would have to think there's many millions more that would see that in their local grocery store or whatever
Absolutely.
and be like, this is awesome, right? Like, I want to try it again.
Absolutely.
I haven't had this in 20 years or whatever.
Put a little elbow grease behind the campaign, and there will be demand when you say it's coming back.
That's the thing. And
we should be in the marketing
here's
business.
Here's the thing that I feel like a lot of these snack companies forgot.
Preach it.
You know why this shit was popular? When the cartoons and like the children's programming and like even like sometimes during like football games and stuff.
Yeah, football.
Well, that's where you need to advertise these snacks because they would just get out there and people would be like, oh, what's that? And they would get it, right? It was like they threw out some wacky shit over the years as we covered, like Crystal Pepsi and stuff. People bought it.
Not
a lot of people bought that, but the point is people knew what the fuck it was,
exactly.
Right? And so like,
Van Halen knew.
This is what I mean about like, yeah, PB Crisp. Like this shit, I totally forgot it existed till now, but now I want it again because I like slightly remember the taste.
Exactly. In fact, I got to tell you guys out there, somebody registered the name pbcrisp.com and they
should be like, we'll give it back to you. If you bring it back, like we'll gift the domain. Like and say
that's so good.
Yeah,
check out the website, folks. It is the most comprehensive
PB
bit, and they get into the other flavors. And listen, there's this whole thing about like Contact Hormel because I guess they own Planters now. Contact Planters still. There's a movement.
This is highly organized, actually, and the site's pretty nice. Like it's not terrible.
Now there is though, Quinn, Nutty Nostalgic, who released. Kind of they've done a bunch of stuff.
What is this? Like it looks like Toys R Us logo.
Yeah, well that's their logo, but they've done a whole different bit
like fake
of imitation and they do 90s crisps.
Now, but it's not the same shape.
It's not exactly the same.
Right.
So
it's like flaky instead.
If you do want your similar fix to PB Crisp, I suggest you go to nuttynostalgic.com. We're not getting paid for this.
Good, you shouldn't. In fact, you should have to pay people to listen to this crap. Also, I agree. Bring back PB Crisps. They were good.
So if you miss PB Crisp, again, we want to hear from you. Okay, we got
Like,
another.
this site's that's probably made like 10 years ago.
It's
going to get like an
amazing.
influx now.
It's amazing. This is another drink one, but Quinn, this was if anything, screams 90s to me.
Yeah.
It's Ryder Strong and his haircut
Right.
on Boy Meets World. It is Hootie and the Blowfish, and it is Fruitopia.
Hey, if there's a way to pursue happiness, somebody out there will find it. And that's cool by us. You know, we like it when people feel good. That's why we put the fruit in Fruitopia. Because at Fruitopia, we just want to make you feel good.
Yeah, so this, to me, I didn't love this. I did not care for this.
I didn't love it either.
Like, this felt like a crappy, like, Gatorade competitor or something. Like,
It was really a Snapple competitor.
Snapple,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, it's all the same,
Actually.
it's all the same style of
It's all the
drink.
same bullshit.
Yeah, this to me is discontinued, but who cares?
People do miss it though, is the thing. Because remember, you'd have like, I think even in our high school, we had
they still had the vending machine.
Yes.
So let's talk about this for a second, right?
That's what we're here to do.
That in the 90s, this is a weird thing, and there was like a movement like against this. The soda companies got this in where they like gave the public schools money, and they would have like a vending machine at the school, and like this, like people got like pissed about this, right? It's like, and there was like wasn't there a fight, and it went on for years to get the schools to like let go of it, because what was happening was basically like you go to school and it's like, oh, they got Coca-Cola, it's like, and I'll just get that, right? It's like
pretty much
screw this water over here, or like
this chocolate milk or whatever it is. Yeah,
F that. They got soda, right? And Fruitopia was like, I think it was owned by Pepsi or Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
so it was like in the machine. It
was absolutely in the machine.
It's funny the things that passed for controversial in the 90s, like we got
like juice drinks,
soda vending machines in the like.
It's tough out there, man.
School.
Yeah, this is Coca-Cola via Minute Maid under that brand.
Right.
This was released in 94, which, as we discussed, in when did the 90s actually start? That's right around after the 90s actually started. Around that time, 94.
Now, when did this last to? Because I feel like it was like in the early 2000s. I swear I had Fruitopia in like high school or something.
You did.
Yeah.
Because it was phased out around 2003.
That's it. Because I remember
probably the start of our senior
getting
year.
This crap, because I didn't like it. I thought it was like kind of like imitation, like bunk,
like very bush league.
Yeah, but sometimes it's like I'm in the mood for a fruity thing, and sometimes I remember being in like art class, and like how that art class.
Okay,
that was the lady.
That was our art teacher. Yeah,
and I remember that
she did not like me.
I remember that like
probably because I did that impression.
You never did anything in this class. You just
correct.
Like hung around.
Okay, art.
Yeah, and I just remember like drinking Fruitopia and like messing around with like clay or something. Like
she was like in she's like in the sketch like the Bears. Like she's like one of the. She's like Norm Peterson.
I liked her because she just let us do whatever the hell we wanted. Like I just didn't. I was like, this class is great.
She
like
could
I
not
have no
stand me.
I have no problem with this lady.
She called me a jerk one time.
Really?
Yeah,
I had no outstanding feuds with this woman.
I booed her at a school play like 4 years after I graduated. I went to a school play like way after we graduated for a friend, and when she was announced as the assistant director, I booed. And
aw, she wasn't that bad.
She was mean to me.
There was worse teachers, Joe.
Yeah, but she was a mean one. Fruitopia.
Fruitopia reminds you of doing nothing.
It reminds me of our friggin' art teacher. It was a huge deal in the 90s. It was. A lot of that was advertising, because if you recall, the font, the logo, the name,
right?
It was very much of that 90s ethos.
It looks like it's like a band logo or something, right?
Hippie-ish almost.
Yeah.
It's like that 90s vis-a-vis 60s type of thing.
Like our friend, you know him, he would...
I probably do.
You know him. He would definitely like just name a band Fruitopia if he could.
Know him.
He would just do it like and not care. Like it's like we're called Fruitopia.
We all have that friend.
Just literally cut the logo out.
Yeah, and
like,
call the band Fruitopia.
Yeah, and put the Fruitopia logo on the drums or something.
It is better than calling it macaroni. Anyway,
shut up.
If you are elsewhere, because we have listeners in Canada, United Kingdom, and Australia, New Zealand, a lot of different places, and you're saying, wait a second now, we have Fruitopia. You're correct. It was only discontinued in the United States.
Oh, it got like exiled out of the U.S.
Yes.
Like, so was there reasoning, or like was it just like it just kind of like the competition just kicked its ass and like no one cared? And they were just like, it's not even worth selling it. It's just wasting away in the vending machines across the country.
I think part of it, Quinn, is Coca-Cola had so many friggin' drinks out under various brands, and it was just like, okay, if Snapple is beating the shit out of this, what they did, and this is why it makes me think this is why, is they took a few of the flavors and they just shoved them under Minute Maid's banner as a Minute Maid product in the U.S. I just think they didn't, it was extraneous to have separate advertising, separate everything.
In the United States, the beverage companies, there's like two, and there's Pepsi and Coca-Cola.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And they own other shit.
They own everything.
Yeah, it's
right?
absurd.
Like, it's basically like a competition of two. Like, there's usually whoever owns the like more known brand versus like the crusty imitation version of it.
Like Dasani versus Aquafina, even.
Like Dr. Pepper versus Mr. Fib. Like, and shit
Mr.
like
Pibb,
that.
Pibb.
Sorry,
He's not a
whatever.
liar.
I always thought it was spelled Phibbb.
No,
but
Kristen Phibbs. All right.
Yeah.
So, yes, it does exist in other countries, and if it exists in your country, we want to hear from you. In fact, if you have it in your
Richard's
house...
like Fruitopia, mate, or whatever.
Fruitopia, mate.
I did it all wrong.
Is he Greek?
Yeah, maybe.
You Greek, you dance. All right. Got another one for you. I think this one will resonate with people, and I don't mean this in a funny way, although it's about to sound funny. Jello pudding pops.
Pudding pops. Okay. So this
Don't hit your mic.
This is known more for like the Cosby like endorsement, right?
Well, because Cosby did Jello to begin with.
Right.
He did a lot of things, but one of the things that he did was Jello commercials.
Right. And so he did
a lot of stuff.
all the Jello products, basically.
The pudding and then also like the gelatin.
You say, Mom, can I have this? She says, that's a no-no. But, Mom, you know how I feel about those. But, Mom, and don't go asking your father. But, Mom, it's a Jello pudding pop snack. She said,
My
fine.
feeling on the pudding pops is that I didn't really care about this. I didn't understand why it was so popular because I was like, well,
It was frozen pudding.
Yeah, but the pudding not frozen is better. It tastes better. Like, I used to get that sometimes. It's good. Like,
You mean just Jello pudding?
Just Jello pudding, yeah. Or like even I just get regular Jello, some in those little cups or whatever.
Really, you went out on a limb that far and you got regular Jello?
Sometimes you get that variety pack with all the flavors.
Yeah, the swirls, all the things.
I think there was also like a pudding variety pack. I swear,
Of
like
course
different
there was.
swirls and like vanilla and chocolate,
Different
or just
swirls for
chocolate and
different
just
girls.
vanilla,
Yes.
and all sorts of. But then they went into this pudding pop business over here.
It's a great idea. And this is the 70s when these debuted, by the way. They were
Really?
around a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so this had some legacy before they got rid of it, huh?
It did. So basically the deal was they used to make mold kits as well, which we're looking at a picture of right now.
Well, Jello's from the age of like so here's the thing, if you don't know,
Housewives starting to work.
but so the idea of Jello originally like was that it was instant pudding or Jello
Dessert, basically.
gelatin,
Yeah.
and that you literally it's like powder and you just like mix it with water or whatever, right?
Correct,
And it
yes.
just like
You don't
makes
freebase it, yes.
and it's basically like it's just ready to go. You just put it in the fridge for like a couple hours and it's done. Right.
That was literally the idea. It was a quick dessert.
But then people were like, we don't even want to waste the time to make that shit. Right. And so then suddenly Jello's like pushing it like, oh, it's just pre-made. It's all we did it for you.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And that's how most people bought it. Right.
Yes.
But then they're like, we got to expand this shit.
Yeah.
And the pudding pops.
Got to make a frozen
Yeah.
version. And Bill Cosby was like, you see, and then you eat the thing
You
and
eat the pudding and the
pudding.
thing and the
Rah.
stuff.
Okay. Besides Bill Cosby, let's forget about him for a second. These were very successful, especially the
They
70s,
were.
80s, 90s. I am with you, Quinn, that I wasn't like, I didn't see the hype, but I
didn't
did.
like seek out pudding pops.
Right. But if I had one, which I did,
Mm-hmm.
very good.
I was more of a strawberry shortcake kind of guy as far as my pops were concerned. I really like those. Excellent.
Yes, they are excellent, to be completely true.
They are amazing.
They are. So the fate of these pudding pops, it has nothing to do with Bill Cosby. Jello themselves made them until 2004, believe it or not.
So that's actually less time than I thought they existed.
Well-
I thought this was like a 2010s that they ended or something.
This is why you and I do this show, Quinn,
Right.
because you're right on the money. Popsicle bought the license.
Aha. So now they were popsicle Jello pudding pops.
The problem was, according to the diehards, I didn't know the difference, whatever.
I didn't give a shit because I
Right.
didn't care about this in the first place.
They weren't exactly the same. The shape was a little different. The formula was different.
Set.
But you're right on the nose when you said 2010s. Popsicle discontinued them in 2010.
Okay.
So
yeah,
there you
'cause
go.
I remember seeing them much later, like
Justin Bieber era,
like
right?
college, perhaps.
Yeah.
Somebody had them. Like, I don't know. Somebody's house I went to. Like, I was like, what do you do?
What a wild party you
Yeah.
went to.
Well, you know, so you find weird shit in
Got
people's
saltines also.
You find weird shit in people's freezers sometimes.
Yes.
You ever go to somebody's house, Joe?
I don't go looking in people's freezers, Quinn.
You ever go to like your mom's house
Yes.
and she's like, "Hey, can you get this out to the freezer or fridge for me?" And then you look in there and you're like, "What the fuck is this shit?"
Oh, I've been.
Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
So
but
yeah, like that's
alert
what I
the
mean about
authorities.
seeing in other. It's like weird. It's like a foreign country, like another person's fridge or freezer.
That's very
and
heavy,
I would
Quinn.
definitely see Jello pudding pops in these fridges or freezers.
Very deep. Let's talk about Lunchables, but specifically, I have to talk about this one.
So, first of all, question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is Lunchables around in any form?
Oh, yeah,
anymore?
they're still around.
Okay.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, because now they had a lot of like different combinations
Yes.
of shit over the years.
Now, you and I have talked about, because Lunchables debuted in the late 80s, you and I have talked about in the early 90s, we always remembered seeing the Lunchables, like, adult version.
Deluxe. Joe.
Deluxe, right.
Now, this shit.
With, like, 2 cheeses
I was
and meat.
obsessed with this.
So was I.
And the worst part about it is I think this added to the obsession. I would see it every week
In
at that
ShopRite?
Spotswood ShopRite.
Yes!
By the fucking like the
Around the
Carvel
bend.
lady.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
And I would go there and I would see it. And my dad was always like, "No,
Uh-huh.
you can't get that."
Right.
And I'd be like, "Why?"
I wanted the deluxe.
But like, here's the weird thing: my mom, we would shop at a different store. And they didn't have it, but she was willing to get me the Lunchables. So here I was in a jam. Every week I'm with my dad, and he's like, no Lunchables Deluxe. My mom, hey, get whatever you want. It's only the ones with like the Capri Sun and all that shit.
Right.
Like, and it's like, ah.
With Lunchables lunch combinations from Oscar Mayer, your lunch will never be the same. Because Lunchables combine fresh meats and cheeses with crisp crackers. It's a really good lunch in one handy pack. So how about a feast of Munster and roast beef? You couldn't do better than chicken and cheddar or pile on bologna, salami, or Colby. Attack a stack of Monterey Jack. Add turkey and wheat and your lunch is complete. With ham and Swiss on rye, you can't
The
miss.
reason this was so obsessive for, I think, both of us, and we didn't know each other, is because not only did it have 2 different crackers.
The 2 crackers was actually my appeal, not the other thing I know you're going to bring up, but like the fact that it had that other cracker that I'd never seen
square
before.
one?
I was like, what is this?
Plus, it had 2 cheeses,
right?
A special mustard sauce,
yes,
and Quinn, the mint.
The mint.
It was very intriguing. I'm like, what is this mint about?
Well, because it's in the place of the dessert, right? Which is usually some disgusting, like fucking, probably horrible for you. It's like 500 calories or some shit.
I'm sure, but like it's just so funny that I had like the little Andy's mint, and
it's so
good.
This is like one of the biggest frustrations I have. I almost like demand that Lunchables brings it back, just so as an adult I can finally like scratch that itch.
I know,
get it, because it's probably not even that good.
Now,
like it's probably not that much different.
Listen, it did make the rebrand and made it to the 2000s, but they were so rare.
It's rare. Plus, they put the kids like
the font and everything.
No,
yeah, I know.
Like
that's the
it's like you
problem.
got to put it with the classy thing, right? It's like
the
like,
font was like very serious.
Yeah, it was like very like, no, this is for more civilized people, right? This fucking shit. Oh, it's Lunchables Deluxe, man.
Before I forget about this too, I didn't write this down or anything, but remember when Jimmy Dean came out with like his version? And he's like very like.
I need to see a picture of that. I might have.
It was Jimmy Dean like Lunchables or something. What the hell was it called? I will find it.
Sure,
Don't worry.
it wasn't called Lunchables.
It wasn't called Lunchables. It was Jimmy Dean Tastefuls. Remember? And he's like, "Oh, you're selling here some cracker. That ain't lunch. This is a fucking lunch for you because it had like
it's
Fritos."
just like, it's just probably like a lot more calories. It's you know what it is? It's the equivalent of like, what were those like man versions of the like frozen dinners?
Hungry Man.
Yeah, that shit was
Oh,
disgusting.
I love Hungry Man.
Yeah, but there was, what was the one that it made every like joke internet thing because it was like 5,000 calories or some shit. Like it was borderline. You would like have a heart attack if you ate it. And I like got it once out of like curiosity because I was just like,
It's probably delicious, Quinn.
I definitely couldn't finish it. It was like way too much.
These Jimmy Dean Tastefuls, I remember him being so spiteful in the commercials, which I might have dumped in already, and if not, I will now.
Saw something at a grocery store, did not believe it. A couple of crackers, a little meat, cheese. They called it a lunch. It's not a lunch. Jimmy Dean Tastefuls, that's a lunch. 2 hearty sandwiches, Oreo cookies, Fritos, corn chips. Tasty, full meal.
You go to the grocery store, there's a few crackers, a few pieces of cheese. That's not a lunch. This is a lunch. Look, it's real sandwiches. There's Oreos and chips.
The thing that sets it apart is it's actually bread. It's not like crackers.
Yes, that's
right?
correct, yeah.
But I don't know. See, I feel like Jimmy Dean's is missing why Lunchables was so awesome is like that cracker with the
meat.
With the meat, it's actually like tastes better to me.
Yeah.
Like that texture of the cracker.
It tastes
right?
delicious. It's
Lunchables knew what they were doing. Let's put it that way.
They did.
They didn't like mess up or anything.
No, and I needed to mention this one because there was some Taco Bell branded ones in the mid 90s.
Right, I remember these.
Started in 97. They had
This was like really pushed. Like this was like super popular.
They had nachos and they had these beef tacos, which is this cold meat fucking packet.
So this is that's what I remember about it was that it had this like meat that came out of like and you
squeeze it out of a packet.
Squeeze the meat on it.
And then you would
so
put your
weird.
cheeses on and stuff and eat it and feel great about yourself.
Now, did you think this was good? Because I didn't. Like,
Okay.
I was like, this is disappointing.
I'm going to tell you something, and not a lot of people know this story, but I would wager all of my freshman year of high school, this is the kind of kid I was and the fun things I did.
Mm-hmm.
And probably until this disappeared, in the early 2000s.
No, you were a regular, weren't you?
Every Friday, my mom would go to ShopRite, and she'd get me this. She'd come home, and I'm 15 at this point, and I got jack shit to do in high school, and it was freshman year of high school. Things got better, folks, don't worry. And anyway, she'd come home, and I get other snacks, blah, blah, and I would sit, and I would put on my Coliseum videotape of WrestleMania 8 usually.
So this was the accessory food to watching like wrestling on Friday where you copied all those tapes for me?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a detail I did not know about.
And I would read a magazine. I just had like wrestling
I
on
would
in the
usually order
background.
Chinese food or something.
I did that sometimes,
Yeah,
but
I could convince my mom always on like Fridays, like, oh, we don't have to cook tonight. We can like order something, and I get those like boneless spare ribs from like AJ Gardens or whatever, and they were so good.
AJ Garden did have good food, even though like
the
I was
ribs specifically, they were way better than the other Chinese places for like some reason.
Chopstick King's ribs were not as good.
Yeah,
even though
it's
our
true.
friend worked there. Anyway, let's move on here. But if you like the Lunchables tacos, I know there's a lot of other discontinued Lunchables, but that was the one that I grew up with. That fucking cold meat packet. That was me, freshman year of high school, baby.
Was there a spicy cold meat packet? I swear there was.
That sounds like a band name too. No, I don't know.
Like where it mixed the fire sauce like into the meat?
No, I think you had to put the sauce in.
Okay.
Lunchables, tacos, and nachos. The fun part of lunch, kids wish
Squeeze
for.
it.
Okay, so I remember these as a separate thing. These were like Kool-Aid, like Squeeze-Its or something. Like, what is this?
Kool-Aid had their own thing.
That's the one I got always.
But they were similar. Squeeze It was first, 1985, these
Right.
started. It's a General Mills product. They only made it in earnest until 2001, and then there was a revival in 06 and 07.
So that's because
and then
I
11
think they
and
got
12.
their clock cleaned by the Kool-Aid guy. Because they looked
yeah.
they looked like they had like the Kool-Aid man branding on them or some shit, and there was like the blue one that was amazing.
Well, they did have, are you talking about like Kool-Aid, what the hell are they called? Bursts or something? No, yeah, Bursts.
Bursts, I don't know. They
Yes.
were the same fucking thing.
Yeah,
Like,
Kool-Aid Bursts.
this shit was incredible. Now,
So-
is this still around?
Yes, they are. But I think they're sold in a different package now.
Yeah, I think Squeeze-It's
I
got
think.
squeezed out of the market here because this all the kids had this shit. This shit was so good.
Nothing else has a fruity Kool-Aid taste of burst. Nothing else is wild like
I don't
Kool-Aid
know if
burst.
he's around anymore, though.
I don't know either, but I don't care. They're better than Squeeze-Its. Like, screw Squeeze-Its.
What is your friggin' problem with Squeeze
Because
It?
it's just Kool-Aid did it better. The packet,
Sometimes they do.
that's too plain. Like this, if you open these, they had like imprints into the bottle or something, and it was more like a grip. So you could like squeeze the crap out
Yeah,
of
because
it.
that's the whole point is you're supposed
Right.
to squeeze this shit. That's what the Kool-Aid was like a competitor,
Right.
obviously. Can I ask you a question, though? Is it only my fucking school? Or did people in your school, because you went to a much fancier district than I did growing up, did they also take the top piece off of either of them and put it in their mouth and pretend it was like something?
The kids at my school would more like throw them at each other. like
Okay. They didn't try to like make something of it?
Nobody put it in their mouth that I remember.
good.
It was more just like, it was more chuck it at your friend and like throw it at his, hope it goes off his forehead or something.
Dignified.
Yeah.
I got to talk about, now there's been many discontinued Dorito flavors. So again, we're not here to talk about all of them. The earliest one I remember wanting, though, do you remember Jumpin' Jack?
Jumpin' Jack. Yeah.
You remember that one? I remember seeing the commercial. It was 1990. It was one of my earliest memories. And I remember seeing this commercial for Doritos Jumpin' Jack cheese.
I don't really remember this very much, to be quite honest with you.
They only brought them back occasionally. Like, in fact, they may have them again for all I know.
Yeah, this is just like pepper jack cheese instead of nacho cheese, basically. Like, okay.
But I just remember the commercial stood out to me. Jay Leno was in it, but I didn't know who that was yet.
Right.
We've gathered the youth of America, gave them some new Jumpin' Jack cheese-flavored Doritos tortilla chips, and asked them, hey, what do you like best about them?
Cheese! Jumpin' Jack cheese!
So this probably...
we got the Doritos here.
It probably, like, I'm guessing this is some mixture of, like, spicy but with Cool Ranch. Because it's it's supposed to be, like, Jack cheese is like white cheese and it's softer, but it has peppers in it or whatever, right?
Pepper Jack does, yeah.
So it's like that to me. It's like it almost seems like kind of a redundant flavor because you're just kind of like this in between Cool Ranch and nacho cheese, right?
They didn't. I don't know how well they sold.
It
to
seems
be completely
too in the
honest
middle
with you.
for me, right?
I agree with you actually.
And
However,
that's why there wasn't room for Jumpin' Jack.
There wasn't, but there was room for this one. I missed this one. It was the Taco Bell branded ones from the mid-90s.
Okay, now I remember this, but I wasn't into it at the time. But as a fan of Doritos Locos, as a fan of Chalupa Supreme or whatever, this sounds amazing.
Introducing the great taste of new Taco Supreme flavored Doritos tortilla chips.
You didn't have these? You weren't into it, huh?
Yeah, I wasn't into it. Maybe my dad got it. It seems like something my dad would get like one time or something.
I love their Taco Supreme. And then they also had a tie-in with Pizza Hut. And they had the Pizza Cravers at the same time.
Somewhat familiar.
Introducing Doritos Pizza Cravers with great Pizza Hut flavor. Do we get cable?
And folks, we want to know your favorite discontinued Dorito flavors, by the way. I miss both the Pizza Cravers and the Taco
By the way,
Supreme.
I just wanted the Pizza Cravers one. I just want to point out that the promo on it is for the Star Wars trilogy, the like 3-tape set that was like huge in the 90s.
90s.
That's a good tie-in.
When did that come out? 97, that 3-tape set?
I forget. Yeah, I forget. It was like 96, 90, either way.
97, I think.
I could do like a whole thing on that because that shit blew my mind when that thing came out.
Oh, I remember that too.
3-tape set. I used to watch it like every day.
It was a huge deal. The other good flavors too at Doritos before we move on to the next chip was, remember Late Night Taco and Late Night Cheeseburger about 15 years ago?
I do remember those.
Those were really good.
I probably tried one of them. And Late Night Taco.
Late Night Taco was incredible. I used to get them. It's one you and I lived together the first time.
That's probably how I tried it. Yeah, I was like, this is pretty good. I think I didn't usually see it at the store or something.
Right.
Like, I was just like, what is this?
They were good. But Quinn, I know there's a chip that's near and dear to your heart.
This is my, like, if there's any pick I have, this is the one.
And this is, why don't you just say what it is, Quinn?
So it's Ruffles The Works. Okay. So here's the thing, right? And
Go ahead.
Everyone's probably yelling at their screen, Quinn, they did this, they brought it back, blah, blah, blah.
It's not the
same. They never brought it back, like, whatever the fuck this was, this has never come back. Like, this original version where it was, like, more bacon-y, like, is the best way I could describe it. Less cheesy, right? It was, like, lighter on the cheese, I feel like. It was more, like, leaning into the bacon and sour cream flavor.
Oh, am I on? Well, tell me when the fucking thing is. Oh, hi again, fans. Mean Gene Okerlund here to tell you that, this is normally where the commercial for the Rough Eels It Works would be, but I'll tell you, no one can seem to find one of those ads. So, as we say here, stay tuned. Okay, is that all? Okay, good. What the fuck are Rough Eels?
This shit was incredible. Like, I used to house bags of this, and I was a child. Like my parents were like, you can't get this week. I was, like, obsessed with this chip. Like, it was so good. Like, so
they were good.
I literally remember eating this and my dad, like, having to, like, I would eat it, like, in my room upstairs while I was watching TV. And then my dad would, like, come in and be like, how much of that have you eaten? And he would, like, take it away. Like, because it was just, like, I was, like, obsessed with this shit. Like, it was so good. And then one day, it just disappeared. Magically disappeared. It was bizarre. It was almost like it was too good to be true or something.
I remember, similar to you, first having these, loving them, and getting them very often.
Yeah, like they were one of those, like, they were so good that you would need more as soon as you were done with
them. You need a brand new bag.
There was something in this. There had to be, like, MSG or something.
Of course there was.
But, like, a lot more than usual. It was, like, weirdly obsessive.
There's a lot of,
Like-
these were addicting. If you've never had these folks, you can look them up. They're Ruffles The Works with an exclamation points. The whole idea was to emulate the taste of a loaded, a baked potato with all the trimmings, as they say.
Right, a loaded baked potato. But I need to point out that their mixture was very unique for like a chip of the time. Like I never had a chip before or since that had whatever the fuck this powder was on it. It was like mind blowing.
It was very good powder.
I could not believe how good it was.
I won't lie, Quinn. Now, it was hard for me to pin down a lot of specifics, so I did a little research here, because sometimes on Acid Wash Memories, we're a light history podcast, right, Quinn? Had to search some newspaper archives online.
Jeez.
These
they really put this under the rug. They were like, I have a feeling like the U.S. government was like finding out that people were like addicted to this shit, and they were like, this needs to leave. Like,
Roswell, who killed Kennedy, Ruffles The Works.
Yeah, well, the mystery of their disappearance, and they're like, I swear the obsession was too great that they tried to satiate the public with this like altered recipe
It's
that's
crummy.
like that's crap. It's not this. Whatever the fuck this is the best chip I've ever eaten.
There you have it, folks. So I found out these being referred to as new in October of 97, which makes total sense from what I remember. It was around that time.
Yep, it was like later 90s.
But I did more digging because I wanted to try to find out when they were discontinued, and I couldn't quite find that out, but it seems like it was...
Isn't that interesting, Joe? Isn't that interesting?
It's like Tommy from Goodfellas. All right. I seem to recall them being gone, what, 2000?
Yeah, it was I want to say it was like around 2000 or 2001. It was like we got like 3 years of this, and it was just like heaven. I was just like, this is so good. This is so fucking good.
But I did find out a little bit of interesting info. An article from April 86, saying...
Frito-Lay has introduced 5 new products and several line extensions. One is a multi-flavored potato chip called The
86.
Works.
I'll say this. Considering their history of fucking with this recipe, how much you want to bet that specifically the 1997 one is like a very specific recipe?
It might be.
Like, because it's almost like when you say Ruffles The Works, you have to say Ruffles The Works 1997. There's been nothing before or since. Or
it was like Candle in the Wind 97.
Like this chip. Like, it is, to me, it's like the holy grail of potato chips. Like, it's just unbelievable to me.
Well, I was very intrigued, Quinn, about this 86 thing. Is that a misprint? And I checked the newspaper and it didn't scan it wrong.
So what is the flavor of that one? Like, what is it supposed to be?
I looked into this, and apparently one of the line extensions that Frito-Lay did at this time was a chip known as O'Grady's. Much like Frito-Lay's Ruffles, right?
Right.
They did an O'Grady's product line. And O'Grady's were thicker Ruffles, essentially.
Okay.
That came in a few varieties.
So like those dirty chips or whatever that brand is, you know what I'm talking about. They're all thick, and it's like, my teeth.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, that's why I never get those anymore.
They only lasted until 89, which is why we don't really remember them, right? However, they were the ones that had the Works flavor.
Interesting.
Only one chip is thick enough to take it. The Works, a new flavor from O'Grady's brand potato
But is this that Works, right? Again, the only reason I question this is because of Ruffles' behavior with this branding, right? Because why is the other ones that they did later where they're like, it's back, and then you're like, you get it, and you're like, what the fuck is this? This is terrible. Like, this is not the chip.
I remember when those...
I knew specifically. I ate it, and I was like, this ain't it. Like, this is not it. This is some bullshit.
You were so mad when they came back and it wasn't the same. I remember that.
I was like, I cannot believe this. Like, this is a cruel joke.
Did you feel betrayed?
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you when I felt
I was
betrayed.
living with you when they brought it back, and I got it. I was all happy. And I eat it, and I'm like, no. Because then I knew, Joe, it was fucking lost. Like, I was like, this is never coming back. Like, it's over. They, like, lost the recipe or something. It's like one of those commercials where the factory got, like, fucked up or something.
Folks, Quinn is very passionate. But you know what? I can understand being passionate about a chip.
Right.
In 1991...
Here we go.
The Keebler Elves, they released a product that...
The Elves specifically.
The Elves did it. Was a chip that looked to the naked eye Like a dark red Dorito.
Basically, like one of those like spicy chili Doritos,
Sure.
like those.
But more in the shape of like a piece of pizza. However, these were not made of corn. They were made of flour. They came in 3 flavors. Cheese pizza, Supreme, and zesty pepperoni.
Now, how fattening was this? Because it's made of
It's a
flour.
chip.
I didn't even know it was made of flour.
Doesn't matter.
Like that sounds like it's more heavy or something.
I am, of course, talking about pizzerias.
Hey, fellas, come on down and taste something new. Right, Uncle Ernie? In your dreams. Pizza! Bizarric, man! Chips! New pizzerias! Cranking with real pizza dough! Cheese? Spices? Radical growth!
Joe, I swear that I feel like I got this like once and I just didn't care. Like,
You
and, like,
missed out.
No, like meaning like I tried it, but it just I didn't give a shit, and I was just like I never got it again. Like so, like
I don't like that.
But you,
I don't like your tone.
You are like
I miss these dearly.
Okay, so I want to preface this by if you've seen anything about pizzerias on the internet in the past, like I don't know, 10 to 15 years, it was probably Joe behind it because he's like the only person I know.
Oh my
who's
goodness
been, like,
gracious! You get out of here!
for fucking pizzerias.
He's not one
for,
of
like,
us, folks. He's
for,
not
like,
one of us.
15 to 20 years
Okay.
now.
Listen, this was Keebler's most successful snack launch ever. They earned $75 million off this damn chip in revenue in their first year.
I like how you know the like very specific stats about it. That's how much you care.
I looked it up. They won an award in 1992 for their marketing of
For
this.
snack excellence.
I'm going to throw something at you. And you know what the problem was? They were already being phased out throughout the 90s, and they were quietly, unceremoniously, much like the works, disappeared in around 95.
Now,
and that was it.
The one thing I'm going to say, Joe, you have to admit the flour-based. This might have been like a result of like it was too expensive to produce within their line because it's like not like the rest of the stuff.
I
Like,
understand, but at the
that's
same
where I'm
time,
wondering if where this thing falls in. Like that makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I don't like it.
The works was just a damn powder. I don't like know what the hell they couldn't just keep making it.
All I have to say is this. I love these chips. They had one of the best tastes, in my opinion, ever, okay? And then they disappeared. And then TGI Fridays, okay, so do you...
I hate when TGI Fridays makes a chip and says it's like they did this a lot.
Okay, yeah.
Like this shit sucked.
So if you guys remember the earlier Boise's and then Tato skins that Keebler also made. Remember Tato skins?
Yeah, which TGI Fridays bogarted at some point.
They still have that. So they have...
Well, do they? Because they're bankrupt now, but...
No, they're still sold, though.
Okay.
Those are sold now as potato skins. I still see them in stores, okay? Well, they also grabbed, for a period of time, I think the flavor formula to pizzerias.
So the powder, but not the chip.
They made them round.
But that should not matter to you, a pizzeria lover, right?
It matters. It matters. And they don't make them anymore.
What does the shape matter? As long as if it was the same, like the flour-based batter or whatever the fuck, like...
Would you want the works chip if it wasn't a ruffle?
Oh, I would. For that powder, I would not give a shit what
you
shape
would care.
it was.
Don't even give me that.
I would not care.
You would care.
If they could just
If
sell...
it was unruffled...
Listen, Ruffles, I'll do you a favor, right?
Good Lord.
You don't even need to release the chip. Just give me the powder. And I will put that on, like, I'll buy regular Ruffles and I'll just put it in a bag and mix it together. Because it's like, the powder is important. But this chip, from what you're telling me, I think
the powder was the same.
The chip itself is different.
Completely different, though. It's like
now,
a round...
was this round one, though, was this the same? Was it just a shape difference and
No,
not
I think it was a different formula for the chip.
That's what that's a problem.
From what I remember,
Right.
because they don't make these anymore.
Right.
Now, okay, I am not alone in wanting these to come back. There are petitions. There's a Facebook group called Bring Back Pizzerias. So,
well, thank goodness it's not Ruffles because they'll fuck it up. Like at least you have a chance with Keebler.
You're right, but for you to try to paint me as like the only person that cares about this is very, very unfair. Libelous, even.
All I'm
Slanderous?
saying is that I've not
Slanderous.
seen much movement in the pizzerias department.
You know what? It's a pile of shit, but here's the good news. More recently, the trademark of pizzerias bounced to Utz. Utz is our new hope. Not Keebler, not TGI Fridays.
But then you got to worry
Utz.
about at that point, you have to worry about the chip itself, right? Because now the powder seems to be the thing. We've seen the powder move from Keebler to TGI Fridays.
Oh, we've seen the powder move.
The powder is not in danger. We know the powder's safe in some recipe book somewhere.
Oh, the powder will be fine, yeah.
It's getting the chip right.
Right,
I think
and not the powder.
is the worry at this point.
It's the chip. The powder, they'll figure it out. Like
Right.
they have it somewhere, like you said.
Yeah.
Like some lady has it, some guy has it.
It's the opposite with the works. They have the chip, but the powder seems to be fucking gone.
That's a whole issue.
Yeah.
So again, if anyone out there is a big fan of the Pizzeria's chips, I just want you to know that I'm with you. I feel you.
Pizzeria Nation.
Pizzeria Nation.
Yeah.
Over on the Pizzeria Nation feed. We just
you should get that website, pizzerianation.com.
Is there a pizzerias.com? If not, we're going to get that one. Anyway, okay. A couple of quick ones here, and we're going to get out of here. Because, again, we're just doing like a little bit of a list of things that we like and things we remember. Quinn and I each had our main events here.
Those were definitely the top two.
Yeah. But I wanted to give a shout out to a snack that I really liked. It's kind of under the radar. It's been gone for 20-something years.
Okay.
Also keyboard. Do you remember Munchums, Quinn?
Yeah, Munchums were all right.
They were like almost a wheat thin.
Yeah, that's what I would equate them to, but they were like...
They were better.
Were they like an airy style chip?
Yeah.
Where it was like, it's got like air in the middle? You know, it's not like a... How do I put it? It's kind of like, what are those Poppin' chips or whatever?
Kind of, but they were more like a cracker. Don't confuse this, Quinn or anyone else, with Munch-O's.
Yeah, I definitely had these.
I don't mean Munch-O's, the chip.
No, not those.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah, I've definitely had Munchums. Like these
They were good.
These were tasty. So you seem to be a big Keebler fan, by the way. I'm noticing.
Well, they made good snacks. We EL Fudge and their friggin'...
Is EL Fudge still around? Because that shit's amazing.
That's another one. I don't know if they are. Is EL Fudge still around? We got to find this out live on the show. We're going to do live research, folks. EL Fudge.
That shit was good.
Yeah, looks like they're still around.
Okay, I just... It's because I go to Trader Joe's now. I don't see like all the snacks as often anymore.
But they also had like a different one that was discontinued, like a something middles or something like soupy middles.
I should go on Amazon and just order like a crate of EL Fudge or something.
Yeah, that's what you should do.
It's probably like cheap as hell. Like,
probably.
You know what I mean? Like it's like $5 and they give you like 20 of them.
Probably. I also wanted to talk about one of my favorite candies that is gone. Butterfinger BBs.
So when did this go away? Because this is more like the weird thing about the BBs is they were like a more recent phenomenon.
You would think that, but when I was looking this up, they debuted in 92.
That sounds about right to me.
But they went away in 06.
Oh, they did?
Which I remember when they were suddenly... I used to get... I basically used to get these instead of getting a regular Butterfinger.
See, I like regular Butterfinger.
I don't because they get caught in my teeth. And it's always broken. Remember, they're just like, we're breaking it for you.
Oh, that was very kind of them. That remember when, I forget when that was, but there was like a point at which Butterfinger was like, no, you don't have to like worry about it being messed up inside. It's just like we pre-broke it.
Yeah,
like,
they just made it two pieces. It was very ingenious, actually.
It's the only candy bar I know that ever did that.
Yeah, they're just like, okay, we get it. They always break here. Here.
It's almost like they knew that like in transit they just get fucked up, and they're just like,
Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger.
These BBs had all the taste of a Butterfinger, but in a nice, easy-to-eat M&M-ish sized little BB.
Yeah, I remember these. These were really good.
Love them. No good reason. Canceled. Taken away.
The thing I will say about Butterfinger BBs is that at the end of the day, it's not as big of a loss because Butterfinger still exists. They're just Butterfinger in like M&M form or whatever.
And now they have Butterfinger bites.
Yeah.
So, there's a couple things that I just wanted to mention real quick that people may be like, hey, why didn't you mention this? Because one of the ones that's always on these lists, and this is what gives me hope, Quinn, for you, for the works, them getting it right, and for me, for pizzerias, is for such a long time, people wanted, for example, Planters cheese balls to come back.
I didn't even know these were gone.
They're back.
Oh, hi. My name is Dave Meltzer. So because actually I was talking to somebody told me that because the Planters cheese balls, they did come back, but they're not exactly the same as they used to be. So they're more like Utz, I think. I don't know for sure, but because my favorite orange snack is carrots.
This was like a staple. Like Planters cheese balls. I'm actually surprised they even attempted to make them go away.
They did, and then people were like, can we please get them back? And eventually Planters relented. So they're back. How about this? A lot of people think these are gone because they were, but they are back, and I'm not saying they're exactly the same. Dunkaroos.
Dunkaroos. Now this one, okay.
They were gone for a while.
About Dunkaroos. It's actually hard to like mess up returning this because they were just cookies and frosting. Like it was like not that like crazy or anything, right?
I know, but I just wanted to
I don't like this D symbol cracker. This is a trend, by the way. I want to point out in like all snacks and everything.
Yes.
Is remember in the 80s and 90s, they were all about the like, we got to gimmick up the shape of our thing, like tricks and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a big deal. They did that for a while.
And I loved that.
So did I.
And then these companies just cheapen the hell out because, you know, the investors or whatever. And they're like, it's got to be like some boring ass like circle and like, like with Dunkers, maybe has a D on it. They used to be like kangaroos and shit. Like
I remember it.
Like each cracker was different, right? It was like, why was that really that hard? It's just a damn mold. Like why? Like what is so difficult about this?
It must just be cheaper, no?
That's what it is, but it's got to be like on such a like minuscule scale, right? It's like
it can't be. Yeah, it's got to be.
I think it's
marginal.
more of a time thing. Like they can make more of the circle
because
ones.
It's one thing.
Yeah.
There are a lot of snack foods that we can mention that are no longer around. But what we wanted to do was give you some that I knew we would have pretty well in common.
Right.
We needed to talk about our chips, and I thought some of the juice ones were worth speaking about.
You know, the best thing that could come out of this is that both the Works and pizzerias come back.
I think so.
If you know the companies, what are they? It's a Ruffles.
Well, it's Ruffle and...
is Ruffle a company separate?
It's Frito-Lay.
Okay.
And it's Utz now holds the trademark for pizzerias.
So let's send this podcast to both of them. Just send them an email.
We're counting on you guys.
With a link to maybe the Podbean link or something so we know it works.
Does anyone on LinkedIn, any connections to the folks of Utz and Frito-Lay?
I don't know if you've been on LinkedIn, but you can find...
I have not been.
You got to find the like CEO or something.
Yeah, that's
like,
easy
but
to
like
do.
don't like you can't do the follow. You have to get the like friend them. Like that's because then you can DM them, and then finally we can just send them the show and they'll know. Right?
Folks, can you get on that for us?
Yeah. Anybody friends with the CEOs of Utz or
Frito-Lay.
Frito-Lay, and just like let them know, please.
Let them know. Help us out. Is what we're
just
asking
use
here.
your LinkedIn connection, please.
Yeah, that's all we want you to do. But we want to hear your favorite snacks as well that we didn't cover. Again, we know we didn't cover everything. We wanted to just give you a sampling, a snack, if you will, this week on Acid Wash Memories. The next episode we're doing is the Big 100.
What's that going to be?
I don't know.
I don't either.
But we will be back to do that. Until that time, we really appreciate you being with us here on Acid Wash Memories during the almost 2 years we have been doing this program for you there. It really means a lot to us that you guys like listening. But thank you guys so much for being with us here. Until next week, be sure to follow us on Twitter at AWM Podcast. Join our Facebook group. Bring back the works. Bring back pizzerias.
And the good works. Not that imitation.
The good works. But until that time, I'm Joe Murata. That's Michael Quinn. We'll see you next week for more Acid Wash Memories.
See ya.
Like what you heard? Be sure to leave a review and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. We will see you next week.